As a bilingual children's book author, I commonly get asked by parents how they can teach their child Spanish. I'm going to go over 5 really helpful tips to do that with your child. Tip number 1 is to learn the language with your child. Now, this is going to do 2 very important things. 1, it's going to be setting a really great example. If you want your child to learn how to read and to develop a habit of reading, but you never read books yourself, it's going to be really difficult. If you want your child to be fit and to constantly work out or to get a lot of physical exercise, but you don't do it yourself, it's not going to work, of course. So just setting that example, showing your child how important you also take learning the language is, they're going to take it as important as you do. Now, that may not be possible at a deep level, but if you can learn a little bit along with them, it's going to be very beneficial. If there's someone else in the family, such as a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent that's also learning with them, it's going to be even more helpful to have someone that they can practice with along the way, okay? And that's the first tip. Tip number 2 in teaching your child Spanish is realizing that learning Spanish is not a simple choice, but a lifestyle decision. A lot of people have this big misconception over learning Spanish or any massive goal really in life. For example, if someone wants to lose weight and stay healthy, a lot of people think they could just buy some pills or just buy one workout program and it's going to take them there. You can't just buy Rosetta Stone and give it to your child, or buy some DVDs and have your child watch it every morning, or buy a Learn Spanish book and have them browse over it with you over one weekend. That's just an event. It's got to become a process. There's a lot more to it. Whenever you make a lifestyle decision to raise a bilingual child, it's going to help you actually reach that goal. Let me give you an example. You need to create a bilingual action plan or a real plan to help your child reach those goals. Here's an example plan. Let's say your child goes to Spanish lessons 3 times a week with a tutor. Another thing on the plan is every night you read a book to your child in Spanish and English. So a bilingual book would be really beneficial. And this is on top of their normal reading anyway. Also on your action plan could be every Saturday morning, you and your child only speak in Spanish, or you do your very best. They know a certain day of the week, where you get to practice. Maybe you're cooking breakfast together and you're learning words. Maybe you're outside doing yard work, you're in the garden. Wherever you're at, make sure you're learning on a specific day of the week together. If it's more than 1 day a week, even better. Let's say 1 day a week, your child only watches TV in Spanish. This is very important to help them get more media immersion around them. And then also once a month, you go to an event. Maybe it's as simple as a Latin supermarket or community gathering where your child can immerse with other native speakers. Or maybe it's going to a special restaurant where they can practice Spanish. But once a month you go somewhere where they don't only get to see the language in action and practice it and gain more confidence through knowing how to do something, but they also get more understanding of the culture. So you see, this was a plan. This isn't just about buying one thing and doing it. You have 3 lessons a week. Every night you read a book. Once a week, your child only watches TV in Spanish. Saturday morning, for example, you only speak in Spanish with each other. So there's a whole plan here. Write that plan up, type it, print it out, put it on the wall, and follow it every week. That's a lifestyle decision. And that is a very important tip in helping teach your child Spanish. Tip number 3 in teaching your child Spanish is to bring them to a play group or some sort of a social meeting with other kids. This is so important because they actually get to practice the language with other children. You can do this by going to meetup.com or other websites that set up children's groups. Go to your local school, of course, or daycare. Find other like-minded parents. There are different ways you can do this, though. You could have your child go to a play group with native speakers, children that already speak Spanish. They're simply just out there having fun playing with the kids that most likely are naturally speaking Spanish. That's going to help your child and kind of force them to speak the language to fit into the group. Now, if your child is in a group with other parents that are just teaching their children Spanish, you got to be really careful that they're not just there having fun with each other and then speaking in English. Yes, it's great to have play groups and have fun and play anyway, but if your goal there is to help them learn Spanish, you'll need to have a parent that sets up a lesson plan each week, where that parent, especially if they already know Spanish or their teachers would be very beneficial, has something planned where all the children actually play together and are learning language at the same time. So setting this up once a week or twice a month will be very, very helpful in helping your child learn Spanish. Tip number 4 for teaching your child Spanish is to surround your child with Spanish language movies, music, books, media, to where they're fully immersed by the language. What this is going to do is you don't want your child to think of Spanish as some sort of chore, as something they have to learn. Spanish should just be a part of their life. So instead of watching movies always in English, many movies already have the Spanish language audio on them. Switch it to Spanish very often, or once a week, or however you want to do that. Don't just always have your child read in English or read to your child in English, but read to them in Spanish. Even if you don't feel that comfortable or confident in your own pronunciation, it's still going to be beneficial for them to hear the words and get more used to seeing them attached to certain pictures and illustrations. Music in Spanish is a great way to learn Spanish, a great way to have fun with the language, and to feel good about learning the language. So whenever you surround them with more things, not only does it help them to learn more Spanish, but it helps them to realize that it's a whole new culture that they're jumping into, and that it's not just a chore, but something that they're going to enjoy as they gain more confidence in knowing the language. Tip number 5 for teaching your child Spanish is to make learning Spanish fun and rewarding. Your child needs to associate the language with having fun or with rewards. That doesn't mean they're only going to speak the language to get rewarded as they grow up. It means that they're going to be more motivated to work on it and have fun with it. So if your child watches a movie all the way through in Spanish, whereas they normally only watch it in English and they really haven't been wanting to do that, reward them with a candy bar or maybe a trip to their favorite ice cream place or something like this, where they get more incentivized to do these things in Spanish. What this does, it just ties happiness and fun with the language. Another example is if your child reads 10 books to you, all in Spanish. Maybe they're bilingual books and they've already read them all in English, but now they read them all to you in Spanish. If they do all of that, then you'll go to the bookstore and buy them any book they want. Something like this. It doesn't just have to be about food and snacks and treats. It can be about getting more books, which are obviously very beneficial. Maybe more things that help them learn Spanish, but they have fun with it. A toy, a trip to their favorite restaurant, to the water park, to the movies, anything like this will work. So you don't want to always tie a reward to learning Spanish, but if you can do it for some of the bigger goals, you're going to see them progressing and having fun learning the language. Because once they turn their attitude and mind towards it, such as, I don't want to learn this anymore, I can speak English, where they kind of rebel against learning the language, it's going to be very difficult to get them back on course. It can be done, but it's going to be easier up front to keep them happy and let them realize learning Spanish is fun and rewarding at the same time. And that's tip